Hey everyone, I'm Brad and this is Watch Rate Heart, and it's the start of a new week where I not only review films, I also share the thoughts of the Letterboxd community. And this week is for the papas and the fathers out there. Father's Day coming up, I'm reviewing all films that are centered around fatherhood. As usual, I have 4 films to discuss, 2 from 1996, so let's get started with the reviews. Featuring a famous father-daughter grouping, this is the drama On Golden Pond, starring Katharine Hepburn, Henry Fonda, and Jane Fonda, directed by Mark Rydell. It has a Letterboxd score of 3.7 out of 5, an IMDb of 7.6 out of 10, a Rotten Tomatoes of 91% fresh, and a Metacritic of 68. As for accolades, it received 10 Oscar nominations for Best Picture, supporting actress for Jane Fonda, director, cinematography, sound, film editing, and score. It won 3 Oscars for Best Actor for Henry Fonda, Best Actress for Katharine Hepburn, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It received 6 BAFTA nominations, including Best Film, Best Director, Best Actor for Henry Fonda, Best Supporting Actress for Jane Fonda, and Best Screenplay, and it won 1 BAFTA for Best Lead Actress for Katharine Hepburn. Alright, you old poops, On Golden Pond. I gotta be honest, it took a while for this movie to get going for me. I kinda was bored through most of it. It's cute in a sentimental way, I will say, and I think the performances by Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn are actually very good in this, but it takes about halfway through the film for the movie to get interesting, to get going. Like, the first half is just basically Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda just playing off of each other. Henry Fonda plays a curmudgeonly old man who's losing his memory, and Katharine Hepburn is his wife, who is very understanding and loving, despite all of that. The film is cute in that way. You're watching this person in Henry Fonda that you should not like, but because he's like an old coot, and he's kind of funny, you're like, he's just a curmudgeon, whatever. And it's a good performance. It relies a lot on the charisma of these 2 actors to really make any of that interesting. If these actors were not in this film, it would be boring as hell. But once the second half starts rolling and the kid starts to live with the grandparents, then it gets better, but I wouldn't say it's great. I'm going to be dead honest about my feelings of this film. If Katharine Hepburn and Henry Fonda were not in this film, I don't think it would be watchable. I think it would be boring, it would be sappy, and it would have been annoying within the first hour. But because those 2 actors are here, they make the film watchable for me. I can kind of understand why people still love this film. This still has very high ratings on Letterboxd and IMDb. But I've got to be honest, I sat there most of the time just bored. And then when it started to get good, it was okay. So there's really not much for me to say when it comes to On Golden Pond. It's a fine movie. I don't think it deserves all the awards it's gotten. I don't think it deserved any of the nominations it's gotten. Like, my God, there's so many. I will say cinematography is actually pretty good. The way that the set looks and the way the locations look in the film is really nice. I especially like the house. It has this really rustic and really lived-in feel that I definitely enjoyed. But overall, it's a fine movie, but I don't quite understand the love for it. Now, in every episode of Watch Rate Heart, I not only give you my opinions of the film I'm watching, I also give you the opinions of the Letterboxd community. This first one's from Chevelle. Chevelle gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Chevelle says, sentimental, not bad. Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn look like your typical couple in their graying years, but they've got some foul mouths and feistiness to go with it. On Golden Pond talks and talks and talks to the point where some of it just gets border on unwieldy. I don't know about unwieldy, but it does get kind of boring. That might be what Chevelle is really saying here. Yet some scenes, like the one where the daughter complains that her father is an insensitive SOB and gets slapped for it, has juice and vitality and poignance. I like how Fonda and Hepburn expose their vulnerability with their roles. That's what gives the movie the little extra cred compared to its ilk. My heart went tender for it more than twice. I've got to be honest, I did not care for Jane Fonda in this movie. I didn't realize how beautiful she was back then, but as a performance, I was kind of like, it's fine. I did like Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn in this, though, but again, I just felt like the film was at best. This next review is from Mary Conti. Mary does not give it any rating, and Mary says, the ultimate pleasant film that your grandmother loves and constantly watches with a box full of tissues at her side. Thankfully, the film is good and explores old age and shitty parenting in a digestible but still no less accurate way. Also, as far as performances go, Henry Fonda is really touching and well done, and he's paired well with Katharine Hepburn, who affectionately calls Fonda "ye old poo" that reminded me of my own grandparents. I do like Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn's performances in this film. They're charming, but I think they're more charming because it's Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. I didn't get any wistfulness or any affectionate feeling from this film at all. This next review is from Rev Andrew. Andrew gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Andrew says, more boring than I remember it being, had to drop it down a rating point. I can appreciate the Academy rewarding Fonda and Hepburn as career greats, but winning the Oscar for this film is not my cup of tea. You know, that's one of the things I hate about the Oscars. More times often than not, they don't give the award to the best performance. They give it to somebody who deserved it from a previous performance or previous performances that they feel like they owed them to, and that's when they get the reward. I hate the Oscars in that way. I don't know the other performances they were going against, but as much as I do like both Fonda and Hepburn, these are not their best. And finally, this review is from Danielle. Danielle gives it 3 stars out of 5, and Danielle says, calling everyone I know you old poop from now on. Yeah, that'll go well. Yeah, I will say that it's funny how a lot of talk about poop and bullshit and stuff like that is peppered throughout the entire film. It just seems odd to me. Like, I get they're old and curmudgeonly, sure, okay, fine. But, like, come on, like, this is supposed to be a very sweet and touching film, and they're saying, you old poop. You're like, this is bullshit, and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell? But you know what? Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn make it work, so I guess it's fine. I just found it weird. So, in review, On Golden Pond is cute in a very sentimental way. I think Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn give good performances, but the film takes a while to really get going. In fact, it takes about halfway through the film for it to get interesting. And if I'm being honest, if Hepburn and Fonda weren't in the film, I don't think this one would have been watchable at all. I'm actually going to give it a higher rating than I think it really deserves. I'm giving it 2.5 stars out of 5. To me, the only reason to watch this, if you want to see one of the final performances from Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn, and you're a fan of them, that's really it. And that's why I was curious to watch this, as well as hearing how great it was. But overall, I watched it and I just was bored through a good amount of it until the boy came to stay in the cabin, and then that's when the film got a little bit better. But they should have really gotten to that in like the beginning or middle of the first act. It took, I think, until the middle of the second act to actually get to that point. And then everything before it was like, God, that there's just so much waste there. But anyway, I think what the film was doing is trying to like envelope you in the ambiance of what that location, which is fine for like 5 or 10 minutes. But then I just was getting like, okay, is there a plot going to happen in this film? Oh my God. It's not a bad movie, but it's not bad because you have such great actors in the lead roles. And that's really the only reason it's as entertaining as it is. Overall, 2.5 stars out of 5 for me for On Golden Pond. It is streaming almost everywhere. Like when I was reviewing this, it's on Peacock, it's on Amazon, it's on a bunch of places, so you can find it anywhere you want. It's even on some of the free services, so you shouldn't have a problem finding On Golden Pond. If you like any of the reviewers I've highlighted in this episode, you can check the video description for a link to their Letterboxd profile. Be sure to give them a follow and let them know that Brad from Watch Rate Heart sent you. You follow me on Letterboxd and X at Watch Rate Heart. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it and share with your friends. I'm Brad from Watch Rate Heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all watch and rate movies, but you give them the heart that makes them live forever.